Welcome to today's episode of the Working Wisdom podcast series, brought to you by the C.T. Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. We're having a conversation about work-life balance, how to navigate and overcome challenges within your career, and how to make business more accommodating to a diverse workforce.
Hi, this is Jamie Belinne. I'm the Assistant Dean of Career Services at the Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston, and today we're talking to Darcie Wells, who's the Executive Director of the Greater Houston March of Dimes. Welcome, Darcie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
And you are also a Bauer alum, aren't you?
I sure am. Got my MBA here in '03.
Oh, fantastic. So how did you make the journey from MBA to nonprofit leadership?
Wow. I really credit the University of Houston for changing my path. I came to U of H and to get my MBA, and also happened to start working here at the Bauer College of Business before it was even the Bauer College of Business. Had a wonderful opportunity to be mentored by an incredible man in the development arena. So my intention was to get my MBA and to grow as a leader in the human resources arena. I fell so in love with the work that I was doing here at the Bauer College that my path changed, and I'm so grateful that it did. So I spent about 9 years here at the University of Houston, and then an opportunity arose for me to lead as an executive director with the March of Dimes. And I've been doing that now for 9 years, and my heart is now forever in the nonprofit space.
And March of Dimes, I think that's a name everyone is familiar with, and it's got to be really rewarding to be part of something that's helping with premature births. So tell me, where do you think you've had the most impact as executive director of the organization?
Sure, I would say in building relationships. It's what I learned to do here at Bauer, both working as well as in my MBA. But the importance of relationships is so critical to everything that we do. I have the opportunity to partner with many different companies, many different individuals, and help them figure out what their passion is, how I can help them fulfill that, whatever their need is, and how I can help them fulfill that. The most enjoyable part of my job every day is just really connecting with people and helping them fulfill whatever it is that I can help them fulfill.
That does sound fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the challenges?
Oh, challenges. There are plenty of them. For one, there are 23,000 nonprofits in the greater Houston area. Wow. It's a statistic that when I say, people think that I misspeak it, but it's true. 23,000 nonprofits, according to the Greater Houston Partnership. So certainly competition is tough in the nonprofit arena. You have to have a good strategy. You have to have great leadership, a great board, great volunteers behind you, and you have to have really a great purpose to connect people to. So I think that's one of our greatest challenges, is just differentiating ourselves among the sea of other nonprofits and, carving out our space.
So how do you differentiate March of Dimes with these 23,000 other nonprofits?
Absolutely. Well, we typically work with primarily companies, and so it's my job to really find out from that company what they're trying to accomplish, whether it be from a marketing standpoint or from a human resources and human capital standpoint, and show them what I have to offer them. So when I approach it really as a business proposition to them, then I tend to probably put myself and my organization at the head of the class. I'm not only looking at it from a standpoint of philanthropy, from a corporate standpoint, but what I can do and how I can add value to that business and to that employee base. So I think that has been a key differentiator for us here in the Houston area.
So if there were young people at the Bauer College or anywhere else right now that wanted to get into nonprofit leadership in the future, what advice would you have for them?
Well, I understand that sometimes the nonprofit jobs aren't out marketed well necessarily. I would say, call up the executive director. I would personally love to hear from someone who has a passion for moving into the nonprofit space. And I think that my peers and the CEOs and executive directors across Houston would feel similarly. We want to raise up the next generation of nonprofit leadership. There's so much opportunity there, and it can be a relatively quick career path. I look at even myself. and growing and into the nonprofit space in a relatively short period of time. So I would encourage them to be bold, make some phone calls, knock on some doors.
Well, it sounds like that's a lot of what you need to do in nonprofit leadership
Yes,
anyway, is
absolutely.
to be bold and make some phone calls and knock on some doors.
Very much, very much.
So how do you decide what doors you should be knocking on? How do you decide who aligns well with March of Dimes' mission and goals?
Sure. Well, there's certainly those companies and organizations that naturally align, maybe those that are in the healthcare space when you're a health-related charity. So that certainly makes sense. But oftentimes, it's through your current leaders who are passionate about your cause. And it's working with them to introduce you to new organizations and have the opportunity to deliver your value proposition to them and see if there might be a match. And that value proposition can be very different for very different companies. It could be that a company is really looking at a way, maybe they've gone through a merger or a major downsizing, and they're looking for a way to motivate their employee base. Well, I can offer them that, through the March for Babies. Or maybe a company is having an issue with high benefits cost, and one of their chief benefits cost is the cost of prematurity. Well, I can come in and help you with that as well. So it's really understanding, what a company is looking for and seeing if I have something that might meet their needs. And in not all cases will I, but oftentimes I will.
Now, you bring up the March for Babies, and I think that's a very well-known entity in the Houston area in particular. How big is it, and what does it take to run that event?
It is incredible. So I'm so proud that we are celebrating our 20th year on this campus, having the March for Babies. It's incredible. We bring about 35,000 people to this campus every year. And I'm especially proud of that as an alum because I just get to showcase this amazing institution. And so many folks that aren't familiar with the University of Houston go, wow, I had no idea that we had this gem sitting in the middle of the city of Houston. So it is quite a production, a year-round one as well. We do have outside professional consultants that help us with the nuts and bolts of it and things like safety and regulations and permitting. But then we just have a volunteer army. We have various volunteer roles, and we train them up, and they love what they do. We've got volunteers who have been with us working on this march for 20 years.
Wow.
And they get so excited about, seeing it evolve and being a part of the growth of that. So it's volunteer management, it's strategy, it's planning. It's an incredible amount that goes into it. And that's beside the relationship development piece that takes place. So it's quite a comprehensive objective and one that I would love to expose students and undergraduates to especially.
So how many volunteers do y'all have each year?
So at the walk, we will have upwards of 1,000 volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I have a staff person whose, primary role is volunteer recruitment and volunteer training and volunteer management.
That's a big job.
It's a huge job.
I think if I had to manage 1,000 people, I might find a different job.
Exactly. Yes.
Gosh, that's impressive.
It is.
Now, in the midst of all this, you have your own babies at home, big babies. You said 7 and 4?
7 and 4.
Boys,
absolutely.
girls?
I have 2 boys, both very much into Star Wars at the moment. So they were fighting over the costumes last night for Halloween.
What'd they go as in the end?
My oldest one was Darth Vader, and my youngest one was a stormtrooper.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Did they both want to be Darth Vader?
No, it's a long story.
We're going to take a short pause to hear an important message. When we return, we'll continue our conversation with Darcie Champagne Wells on How Does She Do It?
Join the conversation. Bauer College's Working Families Initiative is bridging the gap between industry and academia to create a conversation on how organizations can make the workplace more family-friendly. We're talking about flexibility, maternity and paternity leave, and career transitions. For more information about the Working Families Initiative at Bauer College, including upcoming events, visit bauer.uh.edu/workingfamilies.
We're talking to Darcie Champagne Wells today about how does she do it. Now, Darcie is the executive director of the Greater Houston March of Dimes. So she's got a giant job, and in addition to that, she is the mother of 4 and 7-year-old boys. So Darcie, how do you do mom and executive director? Because you figure in your role, you're kind of thinking about every single itty-bitty baby born in Houston, as well as your own big kids at home.
So true, so true. I think for me, it is all about being present. And, when I am at work and I'm working on the larger picture of helping moms and babies, I'm very present, I'm very focused. And when I'm at home, I turn it off and I'm very present with my kids. So I may not have a lot of time with my kids, but I have quality time with them. They know that when I get home, we play, we laugh, we talk about our day, we tell stories. I sing to them every night, always the same songs, but they never tire of them. But that's our quality time. It may be short, but it's quality.
So what are some strategies you've used to set boundaries in your life? Because at least my experience has been no matter how hard you try to say, I'm going to be fully present at work for work and fully present at home for home, home wants you when you're at work and work wants you when you're at home.
Sure, absolutely. And I think in today's world, there's a lot more flexibility for that. I certainly instill that with my team. I see the world becoming so much more of a virtual working environment. A lot of the big companies that I work with downtown, they're becoming very virtual. So, I have really learned to accommodate my team in that way and also be willing to give myself that. I've got a sick child. It's okay. I can take teleconferences from home today, or, I can rearrange some meetings to do that and to take care of me, but also take care of business. The two aren't mutually exclusive anymore.
When you talk about working with your team that way, what are some of the policies and systems you've put in place in your department to help the people in your family have balance, in your work family have balance?
Absolutely. Well, one certainly is the ability to work virtually. That's been something that's relatively new for us. I mean, we've been seeing companies do that, but we're a pretty traditional workplace, so that's been new. So I worked with the team to determine what are the standards going to be, and you decide what those are. What are the standards going to be when you're working from home, and let's hold one another accountable to them. And if we meet these, then we'll continue having this privilege. And by integrating them into the process of designing that, they're going above and beyond.
In my role working with college students, I see a lot of young women that are starting to plan their careers and starting to plan their families, and it's an overwhelming prospect when you look out at it. What advice would you have for young women that are starting down that path?
Well, the two definitely aren't mutually exclusive. And I think women in today's environment, especially, it's a great time to be a young professional and considering a family. The corporate environment is so welcoming and adaptive. Companies are constantly asking us, what can we do better to support our working moms? I mean, I think there's just a very high level of interest in making it accommodating for working mothers. So I think you'd be surprised as students are looking at opportunities and looking at companies to join maybe as they finish their degrees. I think they would be surprised to find so many companies putting family first.
Given that March of Dimes works with premature births, what types of programs do you have for young mothers or the community on how do you deal with the challenges of having a child that's born prematurely and some of the after effects of that?
Sure. So the March of Dimes is the #1 worldwide resource for information about prematurity. We have hundreds of thousands of people visit our websites on a daily basis to get information, which is really incredible. And then we go into hospitals, we go into clinics, we train healthcare workers to deliver information and to deliver programs that will help women who face the issues of prematurity. For instance, we have a partnership with the Women's Hospital of Texas. We have what's called a NICU family support program that we have designed and developed and now is being replicated across the country that really provides support to the family while the child is really getting the attention of the doctors as well as they should be, but really focuses on helping the family through that kind of experience.
Do you have any data on what the premature birth rate is like in Houston in the U.S.?
Well, interestingly, today is Prematurity, starts Prematurity Awareness Month. Prematurity Awareness Month is November, so we released our 10th annual report card today. And the city of Houston got a D on that report card. So right now, the city of Houston has a 10.9% preterm birth rate.
Wow, so like 1 out of every 10 kids that's born, a little more than that.
Yes, it's pretty appalling. And as you look at where we span across the U.S. and a list of all U.S. major cities, it's pretty sad to see Houston toward the bottom of that list. So we are working diligently with our community partners, but also in our research efforts to really uncover the causes and the reasons for this and to put an end to it. The March of Dimes was the first national nonprofit to ever accomplish its original mission, conquering polio.
I didn't know that was your original mission.
Yes,
That's exciting.
Yes, and we checked that box and said, what are we going to do next? And we really expanded our portfolio to issues that affect moms and babies in a bigger way. So we have a heart to solve problems, and we are ready to lick prematurity.
So if our premature birth rate is 10.9 and that's a D, how's the rest of the country doing?
Overall, the country has a C, which is not wonderful. If you look at us on a scale of a worldwide scale, we rank 130th among 180 countries in our preterm birth rate. We're at the bottom of the list.
Didn't see that coming.
The best of the best is at around a 5.5% preterm birth rate.
Where's that?
Sweden.
Huh.
Yes. So we are certainly studying what's happening in Sweden. Mm-hmm. We're studying whether or not these issues are biological, are they environmental. We are have researchers that are working at a genetic level to uncover genetic causes, but also to look at social and stress and environmental factors, which absolutely play a significant role in premature birth.
And so if all of those things are part of it, it sounds like there's a lot of things that not only is the March of Dimes doing, but companies can do to help create environments that are more flexible to allow opportunities to have a little less stress for expectant mothers, and also for women to be able to have policies and environments that are more supportive, and you're supporting all of that as well.
Absolutely, and very encouraging of the corporate community to have mom and baby friendly policy and educating them on what that means, and not only how that benefits their people, but how it benefits their bottom line as well.
Well, I think it is absolutely wonderful, the work that the March of Dimes is doing, and I thank you so much for the efforts that you have leading that organization and for making Bauer proud as a great MBA grad of the University of Houston's Bauer College of Business. And thank you for taking time to talk to us today to share your experiences and wisdom.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Working Wisdom podcast series from the CT Bauer College of Business, brought to you by the Working Families Initiative. The initiative aims to provide support and access for women in business school and the workforce, and to generate research that organizations can use to implement policies and standards to benefit a diverse workforce. For more information about Bauer College and this podcast series, visit www.bauer.uh.edu/podcasts.